How to have fun anytime, anywhere. Step 1. Go to ChumbaCasino.com.
ChumbaCasino.com. Got it.
Step 2. Collect your welcome bonus.
Come to Papa welcome bonus.
Step 3. Play hundreds of casino-style games for free.
That's a lot of games. All for free?
Step 4. Unleash your excitement.
Woohoo!
Chumba Casino has been delivering thrills for over a decade. So claim your free welcome bonus now and live the Chumba life. Visit ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
The following podcast is brought to you exclusively by the Rad Rob Radio Network. Welcome to Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. A hard-hitting, in-depth, cutting-edge look into the world of bowling. This podcast will not only cover all things bowling, but will also give you a raw look into real-life issues. You'll get unfettered access into the mind of one of the most gifted bowlers of this or any other generation. So without further ado, let's introduce you to the hosts of the show. Rad Rob Francois. Rad Rob Francois. Dr. Ocho. And the incomparable Johnny Petraglia Jr.
Hey guys, welcome back to Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. I am your host, Rad Rob Francois. Thank you for joining us live here on Facebook, on Johnny Petraglia's page, and also on our YouTube channel, Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. Jerry Johnson is already in the house. Good evening, sir. Let's introduce my first co-host. He is the resident doctor of Straight Up 5. He has the shiniest mask in all of bowling, and he is a brand new dad. It is the one and only Dr. Daddy Ocho. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Can't wait to get started. And is that a strike behind you? You know, this is a visual podcast, so it looks like pins are getting knocked down behind you in your picture.
It is a strike, yes.
So
well, I mean, I think
clearly
so.
Didn't throw that bowling ball.
No.
Okay, got
Plus, I'm a lefty, and it looks like it's a right-handed shot, I guess.
Probably.
So, yeah.
That'd be the only. Yeah.
Oh, your buddy, your number one fan is in the house.
The bear.
The bear's in the house. Good evening, buddy.
He knows it.
We are also joined by the third man of the team. It is his name on the marquee. He is the sexiest man in the sport of bowling. Wait, you know what? Why do we just limit it to bowling, Ocho? Shouldn't he just be the sexiest man in the entire world?
Well, again, that's like saying, like, you know, he's the smartest cow. You know what I mean? Like, you really are pigeonholing him. But really, what other parameters do we have? Because we don't know too many other people elsewhere.
That's fair. No, that's fair. Well, fuck it. He is the sexiest man in all of the universe. One and only. Back in Vegas, Johnny Petraglia Jr. Good evening, sir.
It's always good to be here, guys. Thanks for that. Really, really fantastic.
I already dropped an F-bomb, so all the sponsors and Brunswick staff are going to be listening to this, and I already dropped an F-bomb, so that's
okay.
That's
I
amazing.
actually forget sometimes how much I miss doing this live with you guys. It's always really, really fun. It's more, I love the interactiveness with the people that come in and see our guests and everything that's going on. Soda Mop Cable House, amoldudas.org. Good to see you, homie. So obviously, I'm pumped up. Certainly looking forward to our special guest on tonight's show. And other than that, it's great to see you guys. Papa Och, fantastic guns per usual. And Rad Rob, let's kick it off, my friend.
All right, our very special guest is a 24-year-old bowling phenom. She is a member of the PWBA. She recently won her first title. That's very hard to say sometimes. The PWBA St. Petersburg Clearwater Open in Seminole, Florida. She's also part of Junior Team USA from 2014 to 2018, and she joined Team USA in 2019, and she recently got named to part of the traveling team, which is going to Peru, and we'll talk about that in a little while. She is a highly decorated collegiate athlete, and she, she's probably better than all three of us here combined.
Probably.
Okay, she is better than all three of us combined.
Still a very low set bar, but
that's fair. That's fair. Please welcome our special guest, Breanna Clemmer. Good evening, Breanna.
Hi, guys.
Good to have you on the show. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here. We appreciate it.
Excited.
So, I did a little bit of research on you, And I apparently this is a true story, but did you really start bowling at the age of 2?
Yeah, I did.
That's fascinating.
Put me in a league called the Pee-wees.
Really?
That sounds like child abuse a little bit, though. Like, I mean, like, think about it. I assume, was it a skee ball or something at least, or was it like?
No.
Did you have bumpers, or did you have like the ramp thingy that you pushed the ball?
I had bumpers. No, I only had bumpers.
Okay.
I had a Tweety Bird bowling ball. I remember that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And she had a 212 average. Go figure.
You know, I used to get the same crap for that because I started at 2 also. And everybody would say the same thing. We're using a duck pin ball. I'm like, no, I had my yellow Superman ball.
But how do you bowl?
You just kind of stand there and just let it go.
Stand there and throw.
I did it. Did you have finger holes in Tweety? I had them in Superman.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah, the half-inch drill bit for all 3 holes. I think my span was an inch.
See, I feel bad because I started at 6 and I like threw the ball like granny style, like between my legs. I wasn't as
you were 6?
Yeah, I wasn't as advanced as you all are. So, Ocho, you started at what? 42, 43?
A couple years ago.
Yeah,
pretty much. I realized there was a bar at the bowling alley, and I was like, "Hey, cheap beer! Oh, look, there's pins."
So it was your uncle and your grandfather that got you in. Is that correct?
Yeah, my uncle and my grandfather. Yeah, my whole family bowled before I was born, and so I was kind of just born into it.
Gotcha. Well, so was Johnny, really, but
absolutely.
Johnny, obviously, you know his dad's a Hall of Famer, a living legend, Mr. Johnny Petraglia Sr.
So, do you remember at all about bowling at age 2, or I mean, and did you bowl every year consecutively? Did you tap out a little bit? Okay,
no, I kind of remember it when I was younger, but I fully can remember when I was 6 or 7, and then that's when it started to really kick in.
And you were like, I'm going to try this stuff now. It's not just showing up just to throw it. You were like, all right, I'm going to beat some ass now.
I started my first competitive tournament when I was 10.
So starting, I have a quick question while we're there. So we obviously, we all got into bowling some way, somehow. Were there any bowlers that you admired growing up that you tried to model your game after, other than Ocho?
Michelle Feldman. I really look up to Michelle Feldman and actually Kim Terrell-Kearney. Those are and they're still my 2 favorite bowlers. Yeah. So I look up to them a lot. Yeah. Yeah. Heck yeah.
What's so weird is right before we started this show, I was actually watching the Don and Paula Carter doubles. It was on YouTube the year that Deandra Asbeatty and Brian Voss beat Michelle and Belmo. It's so weird that you had just mentioned that randomly. I had to turn off the TV. It was too loud in the background, but that's good stuff. And so obviously I would assume you idolized Michelle Feldman for, comparatively speaking, what you do to a bowling ball. Mm-hmm. Did you like the idea of, I always admired Marianne DeRupo and I always admired Brian Voss because they could go anywhere they wanted on the lane, right? Yeah. But for somebody like Michelle, I mean, to know that you're going to kick the living shit out of everybody from an arrow that most people aren't playing, I was curious if that played a role in the way you've developed your game to this point.
Yeah, growing up, yes. I didn't really have anyone in my area within the women that threw it like she did. There were a couple here and there that I looked up to as well, but I modeled my game after her. I would used to talk to it about my grandpa all the time. So that's the one person that I really wanted to look and say, oh, I want to do that. I want to be that. And so I just kept watching her and watching Kim and, just trying to work my hardest to get there.
When would you say it clicked in your brain, having started at such a young age, that not only am I good at this, I'm really good at this? And it usually happens, it happens at any time to anybody. I was curious when that happened to you.
I have 2 moments, really. When I was 16, I won my 2nd junior gold title. And I was like, oh, wow. I'm really doing this. This is cool. This is awesome. And it really opened my eyes to college bowling, Team USA, everything like that. And I was reaching my dreams and I'm like, oh crap, I can do this. This is crazy. And then right after we won nationals in 2017, my freshman year, we won both of them back to back. That was the 2nd time that I was like, oh wow, we're the best here. I'm one of the best in college bowling. This is crazy. And, you know, Shannon and Brian really opened my eyes to just how good I really am. So that was the other moment.
For those viewers, Shannon and Brian O'Keefe and McKendry is what we are speaking of. Speaking of Rob, I'm hijacking.
No, you're fine, dude. You're fine. You're good. You're good.
Because now I'm just snowballing.
Oh, I got something. Did you find that it was not easy, but like that it came natural for you for bowling? Was it just like, I mean, obviously you're starting at 2, so people are only walking, and I rode a dirt bike at 4 and I thought I was young, but like you're over there, you know, rolling rocks down a lane. Did you, like he said, did you notice you were good? I got to wonder, did you notice it was easier for you than it was for other people? Like a little bit of a gift, would you say?
I mean, I think I was talented from a very young age, but it definitely wasn't easy. I feel like my game from what it is now to what it was then is completely different. And I had to work really hard to get to where I am now. So my swing used to come to like the left side of my head. And it was really, really bad. Yeah. And I threw it like 18.
I'm not laughing at you. Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
So you would have plateaued. I mean, you would have played, you know, it being easy, I guess, wasn't the verbiage of, you clearly were good at it, but obviously you had to work hard because you would have plateaued fairly quickly.
Yes.
Had you not then made your game what it was and developed.
Yes, I 100% agree with that. I wouldn't be where I am now if I continued to do what I was doing. And I'll say that 100 times over.
Which speaks a lot of why you're at where you're at. It's comparable to most pinnacle athletes in any sport. Usually the hurdle is where most people say, hey, I'm going to step away from there. I'm more comfortable over here. Like Rob playing the second arrow. It's sorry. Or me refusing to learn how to shoot a spare or look at anything when I bowl and rely on looking pretty while I do it instead. But that's the true mark of a champion is what she's explaining there. And to have it at such a young age is happening more and more across the board these days. The kids are so much smarter and so much more. And if you look at older bowling shows of guys making their first telecast from the 90s, even the early 2000s, they don't look comfortable. They look visibly nervous. They look like they're ready, but not fully ready.
Yeah.
The kids today are so ahead mentally, and it's awesome to see like living proof of what it does if you overcome those hurdles.
Well, it seems like you have to get out of your comfort zone a lot earlier now than you did then, because everybody's doing so much that is bowling ball, you know, like everybody's being able to make these bowling balls almost jump over pins at times. So until you get out of your comfort zone, you probably aren't going to succeed or advance to that next level, I guess I'd say.
So when you were named to Junior Team USA in 2014, like, was that a shock to you? Was that like, you know, it's super cool. Obviously it's a super cool thing, but I mean, were you surprised when that happened?
Yeah, I was 100% surprised. And I think everybody else was too. They picked me from the U15 division. And I was not expecting it at all. Nobody was. And that was the first time it had ever happened. It had never happened before. So obviously in the moment I had no clue what to think or feel. But then a couple of days later it set in like, I'm one of the best in the country.
Yeah.
Like, I
didn't realize they'd never picked from the U15 division before.
No.
Wow.
They had never picked from the U15 division to be in, at the time it was U20, to be on the U20 Junior Team USA team. So never. Yeah.
Wow.
Something that also never happened before is you won 4 consecutive National 10-Pin Coach Association NCAA Division 2-3 Player of the Year awards. So, I mean, you've been killing it.
Why don't I know that?
Why didn't you know that?
You should know that.
Just keep going.
But I mean, that's a huge achievement. And obviously, your first team All-American for the 3rd time. So, you know, is that really when things kind of clicked?
More my freshman year.
Okay.
Brian, having my arm out was never like, I was never super excited about it. When we first did it, it just started as a drill. And then we just kept using it as a drill. And that's what I mean is being okay with being uncomfortable. I was extremely uncomfortable. Everybody was looking at me. Everyone was judging what I was doing, but it worked. It worked.
Yeah.
Actually, that's true, because if it doesn't work, then they're going to go, whoa, who does that? Nobody does that. What a bozo.
they were doing that anyways.
Oh, okay.
So they were
even if you weren't winning,
yeah, no matter if I was good at it or not, they were doing that anyways. But I trust 110% in Brian and Shannon and everything every idea that they had. And if it makes me better, why not do it?
Anatomically, it's almost like a tightrope walker to keep balance. They have that long gimmick thing that they hold, and bowling is very asymmetrical. It's one ball, and you're tilted to one side, so it's so easy to get out of yourself mechanically. Whereas that arm kind of ensures that you stay balanced. You'll never fall out of balance having the arm out. I would have never thought of it, and I'm a wicked smart guy. But so kudos on that too. And again, like you can't not repeat when you're doing that. It's almost like it takes a lot of the other part out of the equation to focus on your release and everything else.
Yeah, for sure.
It's also it's also it's part of a pre-shot routine. Sorry, stumbling on my own words here. But anytime your pre-shot routine is consistent mentally, you're going to follow that routine. It's badass. That's all. We've talked about that so many times in the past because of just simply what it is. I mean, I was thinking like one of the biggest slumps I ever had in my life. I was one of the years when Brad Angelo won Rookie of the Year. Whenever Brad Angelo won Rookie of the Year, and he had the really, really bad stutter step for his second step, I remember saying that looks funky. And then I went out and tried it, and that was around the time that I had my highest PBA finish ever at the plastic bowl I told you guys about. So actually it was closer to 2010 or 11. But that's the beauty of our sport. You could do whatever you want, however you want to do it. As long as certain things are in the right places at the right time, it's going to work.
Yeah.
So I watched some early tape of before you put your arm out on the side, it did look like you were dropping your shoulder, and obviously your arm went way behind your back, and then you did
see the video of her doing that.
Yeah, you did.
Talked about.
You did bring it back around. So, but I do like the fact that you found a way to keep yourself in line and more consistent. And like Ocho and Johnny said, when you get into a routine, there's no way you could ever fall out of line or fall out of balance. I hope this kind of catches on with more bowlers, like, Belmo with the two-hander, he pretty much started the revolution. But, if more women or even men see that, they can keep themselves in line better, maybe you started a whole new fad. So maybe the one hand out will catch on. We'll have to give it a name. We got to come up with a name for it at some point.
Actually, well, if you could you, even I probably won't even understand it. Could you break down what was happening prior to what this made you do? Was there, you said it was a drill, but now you do it as your routine, and it's to prevent, is it only for balance? I got to think it's a lot more involved than that.
Make it a two-part question. And also, after you answer that, why don't you do it on spare shots?
Okay, so my swing came so far to the left of my head, and it allowed my shoulder to open up. So instead of me being here, I was here.
Yeah.
And I threw it really hard. I didn't get around it. I didn't have a lot of rotation. It just all around wasn't good. I was still bowling good, but I had to find other ways, different ways, more than other people to get to where they were. So I always felt like that was holding me back from being good. And then went to McKendree, and obviously Brian and I and Shannon wanted to work on my swing. That was the main thing that we really wanted to work on. We felt like it was keeping me from being great, basically. And so Brian had me do it in one steps. We just started it in one steps, and he noticed immediately my swing was completely in line with my head. It was straight. My elbow was on the inside instead of being so open and facing towards, like, per se, the wall. Like, it was so just right behind me, and it lowered my ball speed. I got around it more. I was able to be more versatile with that. And so from there, we continued to do it up until the first tournament, where we tried to put my arm back down to see if, I could create that same motion, but without my arm out. And it did not work. And so he was like, put the arm back out, put it back out. So I did it, and it just stuck from there. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
So as far as the spare ball, your spare shot, how come you don't do it for that?
It's weird because on my spare shots, my swing was never behind, like, to the left of my head.
Really?
It's so odd. Never.
Interesting.
Yeah. And
is it because you were trying to be more precise with the spare shot and with the strike ball? You're trying to,
Crank it. Yeah.
rip at it or something, maybe
for sure.
like yo-yo it.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess you could say that. I mean, I never tried to make the spare ball like hook. And I feel like before I was so muscled and I felt like I had to make the ball hook on my first shots. So I feel like that also fed into what I was doing with my arm. Yeah.
Interesting.
Did anybody ever make fun of you for your approach?
Yes.
Yeah.
Plenty of times.
What were some of the things people would say about it?
They would just think it's like stupid, like it's foolish.
Right.
Like they didn't understand why.
My guess is they probably came up and said, "What are you doing that for?"
Yeah.
That would be one of them.
The amount of times that I got, what are you doing that for? What does that do? Why do you do that? I've got it so many times, and I'm always asked about it, which I understand because it's not something you see every day. So I completely understand. And now it used to really annoy me, but now I explain for educational purposes. People are always trying to learn, and this generation wants to get better. And the amount of kids that I see doing that now, I've seen a good handful of people doing it from all over the U.S. Yeah, there was a girl in Vegas. She does it, and I think that's awesome. Yeah, so if it helps people, why not do it?
There's 2 kids in my dad's scholarship league back in Howell, New Jersey, doing it.
Oh, that's awesome.
From when I went home.
I'm curious how many times you've screamed F off to somebody after asking like so many times. Is it in the hundreds, or are we just...
Me or her?
Never. I don't.
Oh, her.
She's too sweet, Ocho. Come on, man. She would never do that.
F off.
She wouldn't do that.
Do you bowl on league at all, or
I did.
Do you talk a lot of smack?
Not really, but I bowl in the UBA and I do in the UBA. So
you do. All right, there we go.
Yeah, it's different.
Miss you too, Jerry.
Yeah.
Well, you're very vocal on the lanes. Like even after when you throw just about every single shot, you're like, "Come on!" And then if you get a strike, you're like, "Yeah." So I mean, you're very animated on the lanes, and hopefully people don't take that the wrong way. Have you ever had any issues with that?
No, I don't think people take that the wrong way, especially on the women's tour, because we all want it. We all want it so bad, and I never take offense to that. Like. Ever, because we all want the same thing and we all are going for that same end result, so it's never an issue. So
yeah, I don't think people would think that's showing anybody up. I think Rob might have thought maybe like a fan at home or something too, but even still, it's the commentators would know, I would think, because it's everyone's got their eye on the prize. There's how many tournaments do you guys even get to bowl in, right?
Last year we bowled in I feel like it felt like 20. We bowled in a lot. We were going.
Oh, that's great.
We were going from April to. We had like a month and a half break, and then we finished in October. Yeah, but this year we had 11. Yeah.
And again, everybody got their eye on the prize, so self-motivation, self-talk. It's not like she's out there saying, again, F off pins or F off opponent. Like she's like, let's go. I got this. We got this.
And she's not running them out or, slapping them out. So, I mean, it's, Jerry Johnson wants to know, what's your UBA nickname?
So I have 2. One of them is Teapot because I hold my arm out.
That's fair.
Clever.
That's very
clever.
Fantastic.
And the other one, I got told at Battle Bowl that I had the worst RBF face that anyone has ever seen.
Resting bitch face for
very good.
That's
very
my
good.
second one.
It's not roast beef face or whatever they call it.
That's my second one.
I'm clarifying for people.
No, what was the second thing you said?
I said it's not roast beef face. It's resting because
I've never even heard of it.
Come on.
Nobody would say. I know what people say. RB, running back, roast beef. You don't know.
I swear to God, Joe.
Well, we
you
have
so
listen,
you
don't
have
know our audience.
on one of your UBA jerseys?
Yeah, I actually just ordered it. It's coming. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
I'm going to order another one because people always think that I'm mad, but I'm not. Like because of RBF, they just always think I'm mad. So I'm going to get one in uppercase and lowercase letters. Like, I'm not mad.
That's outstanding. That is outstanding. That is so cool.
You've just been happy this whole time because I haven't seen it at all. Don't
get me wrong. I can be very sassy. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
But in the right situations, I'm not like that all the time. So.
I want a completely sideways question here because I'm curious.
Okay.
I know this is a stupid question that everybody gets a million times, but I happen to love bowling balls, and I love to know people's go-to bowling balls. Do you have like a top 3?
You don't know this?
I think one's a Rodman Pearl.
Yeah, that's not even, I don't even need a top 3.
That's not in the top 3?
I mean, that if I had 3 Rodman Pearls, I'd be set.
Oh, okay, good.
I love the Rodman Pearl. I have thrown it since college, and I threw it all the time. And a GB3. A GB3, original GB3. That ball's so amazing. I threw that and the Rodman Pearl all throughout college. But the Rodman Pearl, that's what I shot 889 with. Yeah.
In 3 games?
That's a 5-game set, right?
I can do that in about 12 games.
I started with the Bigfoot, and then I threw the Rodman. Yeah. So
remember that show, Oach, where we talked about striking 48 out of the...
Yes. That's right. Yes.
We couldn't get off that. We couldn't get off. We were so hammered. We couldn't get off how, like, I don't care if
this was her.
Stone.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Dipshit.
Holy Jesus.
That's me.
Yeah. We talked about it for 45 minutes.
Because we started doing the math and like just not even the like we get what the math is, but it's like that just like just a bad rack. Geometry goes wrong. Someone opens the door at the wrong time. Could mean a 10 pin. Like it's that was what. Holy Jesus.
This is why I call her a 24-year-old phenom, because that's exactly what she is.
She could be a phenom at any age. It doesn't matter.
You're such a dick. Why'd you have to ruin the moment, Ouch?
They're both right.
Because she's not going to be not a phenom when she's 26.
That's fair.
Why are you pigeonholing her?
Fair.
Like Johnny's only the sexiest bowler. I mean, why are you pigeonholing everybody?
Yeah, and I'm not even a bowler.
Yeah, yes, you are. Shut up. I don't want to hear it. So what other balls do you like? I use Obsession Tour quite a bit. What else? What else do you like?
Obsession Tour, I like the GB4 Pearl. From the newer releases, I'm trying to think because I have a lot. I did like the new Quantum, the hybrid.
Yep.
I am really excited to drill the one. I haven't been able to drill them yet because I've been moving and everything. So I'm really excited to throw that. So, but normally in my bag, it's kind of old, but like a Redemption Solid, Obsession Tour, Knockout Black Blue, and then it'll go to like a Bigfoot, a Rodman Pearl, GB4 Pearl. Yeah. You
mentioned Quantum, and I've said it many times on the show. I actually own still and use it, the original forest green Quantum, and you weren't even born yet. Would it come out in 94, Johnny? 95, somewhere around there? Yeah. So that's, and I have a teal Rhino Pro. Those are the 2 balls that I still use. Yeah. But they still hit and they still work. So I mean, why,
when someone else throws them,
I'm a recreational.
$250 in 1994.
No kidding.
They better still hit.
No kidding.
I had the remake of the forest green, and then I had the red Quantum. I didn't like the forest green, but I like the red one.
The Fire Quantum, the original Fire Quantum was one of my favorites.
That was badass.
From like 96, but the remake was pretty good. The forest green was a little chuggy for me.
Yeah, for sure.
We have another question from Jerry. What's your toughest loss, and what did you learn?
Oh, that's a hard one.
You haven't lost yet, it seems like.
No,
you're throwing 889s, you're not going to lose too often.
I have. It's not really like a specific loss. It's last year's tour season. I had a really successful youth career and collegiate career. And then, the next step is winning Rookie of the Year on tour. And so not bowling to the best of my abilities and not believing in myself is what resulted in me not getting Rookie of the Year. I take full responsibility for that. And I, wanted it so bad that I kind of lost sight of what my real goals were. And I find that more heartbreaking than anything because I didn't love it. I didn't love it anymore. I hated it. I didn't want to do it. And I didn't want to go back on tour. And then, my whole thinking and my mental game changed. If I wanted to be the best, I had to put the work in. If I wanted to be the best and be where these women are in the Hall of Fame, then I had to change it. I had to change my life around. And I learned that I needed to be better and that I wasn't as good as I thought I was. And, you know, that's really what I learned, is that I needed to work harder and be a better person and bowler on and off the lanes.
You know, that kind of goes back to when I asked you about it, when I said easy, and it's probably a poor choice of words, but like because like you said, you were very successful as a kid, then in college, and then now you're thrust into the upper echelon where it's literally the top 1% of the people on the planet. And it's, I guess there has to be a little bit of a humbling experience when you're like, I'm obviously not going to breeze through this, but you could plateau, you'd still bowl, but would you be successful? And I guess that's where you gotta. Let me ask you this too. And did you put so much stress on yourself to win Rookie of the Year that also goofed you mentally?
Yeah, for sure. I was about to say, like, I put so much pressure on myself to be perfect. And, you know, I didn't have to be perfect. I just needed to be Bree. You know, I say that on every single TV show. I just need to allow Bree to be Bree. And don't worry about what anyone else has to say. Don't worry about anyone else is doing. Just be myself and live and breathe in that. Yeah.
Does that come naturally to you, or do you have a hard time with that?
Now it does. It's naturally now. Yeah.
You had to learn it though, and that's because you start to hate. You start to hate it. The anxiety is so palpable that you'll forget why you even bowled. You'll forget why you're showing up, and it's true work at that point rather than something you love.
Yeah. I did. I forgot why I was there. I hated being there. I didn't want to be there. And I mean, I told Chuck Gardner, I told Chuck I wasn't happy with who I was. I told him, you know, he's known me since I was a little girl. He's seen me accomplish all of these things and be the best at one point. And I told him, you know, hey, like, I don't love it anymore. And, you know, he had a really big talk with me, and he was like, look, do you want this outcome A, or do you want outcome B? You got to figure out which one you want. And, you know, that really opened my eyes to a lot of things.
Yeah, Chuck's pretty good at that.
But you even said you put the work in too. So that when you put the work in, you know, it's almost like what they say for like a wrestling match or something, where you practice so hard that when you're only in the match for 7 minutes, that's the natural part. That's the fun part. It's the practice that sucks. So that when you get there, you're in your element basically, and it's fun. You're doing your thing. You know why you're there. The practice still may suck, but that's the putting in the work part. That's when it's work.
Yeah. I did get my nib Rodman I'm getting it from Melanie's car. I now have 4 new in-box Rodmans.
4.
Who's Melanie?
Come on, Melanie.
Yeah, and we'll take one here because
Jerry, who's Melanie?
We're doing this for the show.
Yeah, who is Melanie?
Melanie McDaniel. She bowls on tour. She's one of my really good friends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so she's like my mom. I call her my mom.
Good job, Melanie.
Keegan Tasker says, I look forward to Tasmania for Special Olympics National Games, October 26th through the 23rd. It's going to be flooded, heavy oil. Breanna is a legend in my eyes.
Aww,
you're already a legend. Look at that.
Well, best of luck to you out there, Keegan. I saw you made 2 posts about that today, so hope you do well. And remember, it's heavy oil. You can throw it a little bit slower.
Is that your preferred? I mean, there's obviously everybody's strength. I mean, you clearly know how to bowl on anything. Freaking could be a patch of grass. It seems like at this point. But do you have a preference? You know, Norm Duke likes the outside. You know, me, I like to drink beer. So.
Preferably, you know, I like to throw it a little harder. So anything short to medium that allows me to throw it harder, I like it. That's just my wheelhouse. That's my comfort zone. But I've gotten really better at bowling on longer patterns. I'm able to, you know, move in, get around it a little more, throw it a little slower. But I prefer shorter patterns.
What patterns do you absolutely hate?
I can go down the list if you want me to.
Right.
I remember there was one specific pattern. It was at ISCs. It literally was like a 7. It looked like a 7. Yeah. I qualified 14th out of 16. Yeah.
Was it a symmetrical 7?
That doesn't even make sense.
Like, what would I do?
I don't know what you would have done because I didn't know what I did. But I ended up winning. I don't know what I was doing at all. Yeah, that one, anything that's probably longer than like 42 feet, I get a little nervous. But I'm getting better at that.
No, why is that?
Because I throw hard.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah. I throw hard.
Do you find? Sorry, go ahead.
So I struggled a lot last year on longer patterns, and so I really worked hard this year. And I feel like I didn't genuinely struggle. I would just put myself in situations to where I'm like, oh, I'm 60 under now after the first block. Now I have to go 100 plus over, and I would do that, but still be behind. So I would miss, like at Queens, I missed the cut by, I think, like 15 pins because I put myself so far behind, and then bowled phenomenal the next 2 days, but it still wasn't enough. So it's like I would find myself in situations like that.
Do you find it harder when they're longer? When you say you throw it hard, do you find that you're more accurate when you get to throw it harder? In other words, when you have to bail off it or you've got to slow everything down, do you find that your accuracy goes down?
Yes.
Or maybe
Yes.
at least your motion to the break point, so to speak?
Yes. I feel like my accuracy does go down. Yeah, on shorter patterns, I don't miss. You know, I don't.
It's so funny just speaking from a different perspective on everything she's saying, because when we're talking about the speed, a lot of people always say to me, John, you throw the ball so much better with your thumb in it than out of it. And what's so funny is, number one, when my thumb is in it, my swing, imagine Wes Malot's swing, but not getting back under your shoulder. My swing would just go that way, would just go away from me and then never reroute, while my feet were still walking to the right to clear room for the swing. Plus, I threw it way too hard to ever bowl on anything other than cheetah, and I sucked on. I was not even good on cheetah because I stink. But either way, the second reason was I took my thumb out of the ball. A, because it automatically straightened my swing, because it shortened my swing, and B, it lowered my miles per hour about 1.5 miles to almost 2. So now all of a sudden, every time the pattern's longer than 38 feet, 40 feet, I'm like, hey, I got a chance this week, and I don't have to throw plastic or urethane.
Yeah.
So I do understand, and again, I don't know why I was going with that, but
well, I almost feel like
I'm studying as much as everybody else.
No, but it's probably more common that you do lose accuracy when you throw it slower. Like, as I'll have to go to baseball, JP, you remember they said you just throw it. You don't really aim it. You throw the ball. But yet when you have to throw it slower, it's probably harder to keep your accuracy because you're used to throwing. You know, you gotta pitch it. Now, then you come to, you almost like you short arm, you place it. You're trying so hard to be accurate that little things go out of sync. You deceleration on a golf swing, worst thing you can do. And that's kind of where that's probably, I think, more common than to lose your accuracy when you speed it up.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, like I said, I'm better at it now. I worked really hard on it.
Yeah, you're not bad at it. You're just better at piping it.
Yeah, my ball reps have been very patient with me and have worked really, really hard with me this year on tour. But when we see that it's a shorter pattern,
I love you, Ray.
Just play tag.
When we see that it's a shorter pattern, we're like, yes, Bree can be Bree. Let's do it. We're going to win this week. And that's what we did in Florida. I mean, they literally just stepped back and just let me do what I was comfortable doing. And that is like the most help they could give me, is just to let me be myself. And if, hey, what do I need to go to next? What do you think about this? Helping me understand, because I'm constantly learning. I always want to learn. I want to be a sponge. Everybody says that, but I want to be a sponge, and I want to learn more and be better on and off the lanes as a coach and a player. And so they were really good at that with me this year, being patient and allowing me to understand, what's going on.
And that's the attitude of a winner, always wanting to get better, always wanting to improve. Let me ask you this then. If you're stuck in a situation where, the pattern is longer, do you adjust on the lanes first, or do you automatically switch a ball? What's your go-to? Do you move, or do you get another ball?
I tend to move first. I don't like, getting into let's change this ball, let's do this, let's do that, because I feel like I panic. I tend to panic because then I don't see what my eye likes to see, and I don't, understand what I need to do. I lose that, and I panic. Like, being honest, I completely panic because I don't see what I need to see anymore. So I will move my feet, move my eyes. I'll do that first before changing balls because I'm more comfortable doing that.
Do you change hand position too at all, or is it?
Yes.
That's it. Okay.
Yes, definitely yes. Because I can get around it a lot more if I need to.
Right.
So
this is very old-fashioned approach too, because this is what people had to do back in the day. Because they only had 2 bowling balls. You weren't able to go to your arsenal of 30 and stay in the same spot and hope that one ball will finally. Plus, you run out of frames if you go through 20 bowling balls. You're going to be minus 800 after 2 games. So,
well, a lot of people do that. A lot of people don't want to get off their spot where they're comfortable throwing, so they want to grab another ball and force it to play their shot, but. What we learned out in Vegas at the Masters, Johnny, was, I was watching Darren Tang's video the other day. I mean, a lot of people were just lofting it to the arrows, standing on the gutter on the left side and just literally lofting it because the patterns were just that bad, as opposed to changing balls. So it was that was very interesting to see Darren's week and what he had to do to even just shoot 200.
I want to throw 10 cents in here about something. I actually want to ask, this is a specific question going back to what Breanna was saying, because the Masters is a whole nother can of worms for me, because just based on, we actually should set that up for a future show where we talk about lane breakdown at the professional level mixed in with the amateurs and tournaments like that.
Sure.
As like from the new age to the old age. So let's make a note of that.
Okay.
But Breanna, my question to you is, even with all the advancements in, let's say, technology advancements, right? Interchangeable thumbs, finger grips, yada, yada, yada. My dad was always similar in his philosophy the way you are, where he would rather move and figure it out with at least the same ball in his hand for a few frames. One he knew the motion of, one that produced the motion he was looking for. And for me, even though my stuff was always drilled pretty much identically, interchangeable thumb or not, every ball doesn't feel the same, at least to me. And what has always amazed me about the tour players, such as yourself and obviously all the other ones, is when you guys do change balls, it seems like there's never an issue. I'm curious if at your level, if that's bullshit. Like, do you take your hand out of your big foot and say, shit, I know this conspiracy scheme is the right ball right now, but the ring finger feels like shit? Like, does that ever happen?
Yeah.
At that level?
So funny. In Florida, my fingers were so swollen. Both of them ripped all the way open, all the way across. So right before the show, I go to practice again, and I can't fit my fingers in the ball. And I'm like, oh God.
Yeah.
Straight panic set in. I was like, where's Jeff? Where's Mike? Jeff Smith.
Where's my Dremel to open up these holes somewhere?
Like, go open these up right now. Like, they need to be opened up. But then when I would put my fingers in my spare ball, I didn't have an issue. Yeah.
Weird.
So, yeah, but normally with me that doesn't really happen. I don't really see that a lot. I'm a field player, so I'm very picky with how it feels on my hand. And if it doesn't feel right, and if I don't like the way it feels, I won't throw it. So I've been very picky, which Matt Wilburn in Gastonia at Bowling Solutions, he's very patient with me. And he takes his time and he makes sure, is this what you like? Do we need to change anything? He's been very awesome with that. And Cecil on the truck as well. So they've been very patient with me and very kind to me because I can be pretty difficult. So, yeah.
But that question even bodes all the way down to just, this may shock you, but I'm only an amateur. It takes me 3 throws to get used to a new bowling ball if I have to switch. And that's why even though I probably switch too often, I don't want to. Because the first one, lollygags off, and you had to fix my thumb hole.
Oh, hang on. You can tell he's an amateur because he just said his first 3 throws. Continue.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, I didn't catch on that. I didn't catch up on it. So we'll explain it later, Roach.
I don't know. The first new throws with the new ball I switched to. Rolls? The first rolls?
But no, you got
it. What the flip?
Perfect.
That's great.
I got a question then. As a drill, so if I got league starting tomorrow, what kind of drill would you give if someone has like 1 bowling ball in their hand and 2 lodged in their biceps? Is there any possible drill? And these get stuck in the ball return. Is there any way that I can, throw the ball a different way possibly?
No.
No, that's it? No drills? Nothing?
Asking? No.
All right.
None.
I didn't know that was a thing. So speaking of technological innovations, that kind of leads me to want Ocho to tell his story or his definition of what he has on the screen, the big red wiffle bat. Ocho,
you mean technological?
Explain your meaning behind that.
Okay, so because I actually have a decent average, and I shouldn't. That means I'm using bowling balls that his dad gave me freaking 10 years ago that have tracked out, or I don't even know. I've probably gridded them to where they're skee balls at this point. And the problem is
he has a wrecker, a gravity shift, and a winter solid, none of which he got from my dad. So.
No, I didn't get. No, I got the old ones from your dad. Shoot.
Oh, all right, sorry.
I don't use that one. That's in the old, the red one.
The red one.
I got two of them, a red one and like way back when.
Way to narrow that down.
No, Glick gave me the purple one that I have now. But the fact is, I can throw the ball in about a freaking area code and still throw a strike, and it bothers me. I don't like that. So I liken it to, do you know when people play wiffle ball, there's that little slim yellow bat that the pros would use, i.e. Breanna Clemmer.
Yes.
And then you got the jamokes who want to be good but suck, so they bowl on a house shot, i.e. the big red wiffle bat that you could hit anything with. And I think it's disgusting, but I don't know why he made me bring that up, but I think it should be harder. It's supposed to be hard. I think people think they're good, but they're not, and that's a detriment to people's psyche, if you ask me.
This is actually a great question, because technically, what is a house shot to you, Breanna? You're what, 24, 25? Mm-hmm. Like, what is a house shot? What is a stand? Do you even... For lack of a better
or if
way
you
of
only
asking,
bowled on competition shots, so
that's kind of the question I have. Is
like I don't really bowl on house shots, but when I do, I'm not the best.
That's what Chris Barnes says.
I'm used to having to hit this, literally.
Right.
Like I'm so used to that. And to being so perfect, and sometimes on a house shot, like you can just stand left and throw it right. That's literally what my friends will tell me back home when I'm struggling. Breanna, stand left, throw it right. That's literally what they tell me.
Yeah, right.
And I still struggle because I'm so particular, and if I have this to hit 9 times out of 10, I will strike a lot. But when I have this to hit, I literally just cannot. I can't.
That could affect your games too. That could actually literally affect your game in a bad way, because when you're trying to hit a quarter, you have to hit the quarter. When you got to hit, a freaking
15 boards, just let it go.
A 10 board area, which you can, but it doesn't matter what your hand is, and now it takes such precision out of it that someone asked her that question. I guess there's
Breanna, what's the worst ball you've ever had? Keegan Tasker says he hated the mastermind intellect.
If you feel a certain way about answering this, I'll go first.
You go first.
Yeah. I have no shame.
Go ahead, Johnny.
The worst ball I've ever...
You'll go first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I told you to go ahead, and it was silence.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
She said, yes, sorry. You go. My God.
I was looking at nothing.
What a pro.
Whoa, what's the worst ball we've ever had? I hated the original Attitude, the 2-1. It was black and green. That ball was a boat anchor.
Never had.
I think I had a 3.
Now, the ivory and purple one? That was one of the best ones ever.
Remember the bartender, Mike Floor, at the bowling alley?
Oh, yeah.
Chris's brother, Mike? You remember him.
Yeah, we all know him. Yeah.
Uncle Ned's kids.
Another free bowling ball.
What about you, Bray? You have a hated ball?
Probably the forest green quantum. I could never get it to hook. I didn't like it. I never wanted to throw it, and I was really upset when I had to. I didn't want to. Yeah, probably the forest green quantum.
Do you prefer resin over urethane, or does it just depend on the shot?
Yes.
You do? Okay. Yeah.
I'm not a fan of urethane at all.
Is that just because of the way you throw the ball, or you just what's the reasoning behind it?
Yes, the way I throw it. I throw it hard, so I literally never have any reason to throw urethane, because on the women's tour, there are some instances where I have thrown it before, but like I don't necessarily have to because I can just throw it harder.
Right.
So it's like fair. I don't necessarily have to pull urethane out of my bag, and that's a lot of women too as well. Like some of them don't have to. So yeah, my eye doesn't like it, and I'm very particular with that too. So I don't like it at all.
Explain again, this may shock you. I'm an amateur. Explain what do you mean by your eye doesn't like it? Like you just don't like how it looks in your hand or the way it rolls or?
The way it rolls down lane. So I don't like to see my ball labor down lane. And so I like to see it, be a little smoother through the fronts, but I want it to look like it got kicked.
It's hitting hard at the end.
Yes.
It's blasting through.
Literally kind of like a hockey stick. Like I like to see that a little smoother through the front, and then it hooks a lot down lane. I like to see that. And I feel like with urethane, I don't ever get that. So that's what I mean by that.
That makes sense.
You feel like it would hit like
uphill when
it would hit like a marshmallow or something almost. Like it just like.
Well, with urethane, I'll 10 pin, 7 pin, 7-10, 5-7. I can't stand it. I just can't.
And then I would assume when a pattern even calls for it on the rare occasion, you could probably find something with a similar motion that your eye does like, i.e. I would think a strong solid ASIM with a super weak drill or something like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Totally. And then not have to worry about the ball hitting like a pumpkin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
See, I'm with her. I like, throwing the ball there and getting that snap back in the pocket. I mean, it's sexy. It's the revs, it's the hook, it's that late break. I mean, it's what everybody tries to do, like, Ocho. As opposed to the ball just rolling downhill at your ankle. I totally get it.
The best description that we've had is it gets kicked. It's as if like all of a sudden it tracks up and there's like a freaking cannon just shot the thing straight at the pocket.
Right. It almost makes the ball look like it's going downhill. And that laboring, wiggly uphill type motion.
Who convinced you to get on the Pro Tour?
Ooh, that's a good one.
No one really convinced me. I just knew I wanted to do it. It's been a dream of mine since I was a little girl.
Right.
So watching Michelle and Kim and, Shannon and Kelly and everybody bowl on tour, I wanted to do that. And so it was more of who believed in me, and who knew I could make it there that meant a lot to me. So my grandparents raised me. So my grandparents and the rest of my family and my coaches, having that backbone to go on tour means a lot. And, at the end of the day, they're who you have when you're not on tour. Right. So it was really the people who, supported me more than anything that made me realize I could do it.
I think it's safe to say the scoreboard kind of sent you there, too, because when you're blasting numbers like that, there's only one way to go.
It's a lot of strikes, man. We're still talking about that.
I'll never wrap my head around someone that could do that. But
that's it's absurd.
It is. It really is absurd.
I couldn't go kick the pins down that much. I'd be out of breath.
I truly don't think that. I think if we stood 3 feet in front of the pin deck, we couldn't strike that much.
Not a chance.
Even with candle pins and deadwood, I could never do it.
Candle pins with a regular bowling ball, I don't think I could strike 48 times in 3 games or 4 games.
Go back to that. Was there like an aura?
Time out real quick.
All right, go ahead.
Check your watch. You good?
Oh, check your watch for work. I'll write you a note.
Yeah, we're fine. Okay. I'm good.
Okay.
I'll write a note. You say you're late. You're good. Don't worry about it.
No, I'm good. I don't have to go anymore. We're good.
Okay. Right, called out.
Oh, fair enough. All right, we got another couple hours.
Well,
so
boys,
good.
We're doing well.
Like that day. You're if you could, because you take us there. You feel good. Obviously, you're throwing it well, and then you're in like a zone that's got to be something you've never experienced. And was it almost like out of body? Like I can't believe I'm still striking. Like it's 40 in a row or whatever. Like
if you want me to be honest, no. Like I was extremely calm. It's so
kidding.
Weird because normally in those situations anybody would be nervous.
Your heart rate goes up, man.
Yeah. I was so calm. You can ask anybody that was in that bowling center. I was so calm. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't hesitant or anything. So calm. My grandparents were there. I had my friends, my really close friends were there as well. And then it just so happens that it was that same weekend. It was one of my friends' birthday that he had passed away due to cancer a couple years ago, and he was very influential in my bowling career. It was his birthday that day.
Oh my God.
So I was insanely calm, and that gives me chills, but I wasn't nervous at all. I was just there, and when you get in that zone of just focusing on you and nobody else, everything else goes away. And you can't really, I don't know how to describe that. I mean, you can't describe that.
You have to experience that.
That's what that zone is, I guess.
My question about that zone is, so like when I'm in dead stroke, because obviously you were in dead stroke. When I'm in dead stroke, I see the kind of strike I'm going to throw before I even get set on the approach. When I'm second guessing myself, I see myself missing a 7-pin 25 feet down the lane. Mm-hmm. In that moment, when you were doing that, do you remember, were you aiming and saying, I wonder what time the Golden Girls starts? Because it was just so calm and so chill, or what was in your brain when you were aiming? This is a serious question.
Golden Girls. Sorry, Johnny. I'm sorry.
It's the first thing I thought of. I don't know why.
Cop starts at 4:30.
All right, live PDs.
Mike Wolf literally told me, Bree, you just got to get it to 2. That's literally all he told me. And that's all I thought about when I got up there. Just get it to 2. Bree, just get it there. Just get it to 2. And that's literally all I thought about.
So she got it to 2 for the next 3 hours.
I mean, did the shot just not break down? I mean, that's remarkable.
No, it did. I mean, I moved.
So you moved left and still threw it to 2.
Basically,
you gotta think,
really, man. My feet at one point were at 24, and I got it to 2. You had to get it there, or it was going left. It wasn't really like a true short pattern, where you had to play further right, but it allowed me to get my feet left and throw it hard at 2 and get around it. So that's my wheelhouse. I can do all of those things. So it was awesome.
Were there a lot of gutter balls from other people, though? I mean, because I still feel
I guttered twice.
Oh,
the next day I guttered twice. It was so embarrassing. I guttered twice, but I mean, it happened.
Okay, yeah. Yes, you think someone's going to say, she guttered twice. You shot it at 89, for God's sake.
I remember Lauren Pate, she's one of my really good friends. She looked at me and she just started busting out laughing. She's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You didn't miss for how much? And then you go and gutter? Yeah.
That's great.
So, I don't know if anybody ever asked you this, but were you pissed that you didn't get 900?
No.
Okay. Right.
I mean, at that point, if you want, I was so in the zone and so focused on me and basically my grandparents and my family that was there that I didn't even realize I'd broken the record.
Wow.
I didn't know. I didn't know it until he came up and told me. I had no clue. And so, I was just so in that moment with my people that nothing else mattered. So, literally, I was just there.
That's actually a commonality when people do break a record. Because they are so jazzed in, they're so tunneled in that they're told afterwards or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
They're like,
that's what happened to me.
Really, that happened? That's a common thing. Which again, that means you've got a part in your brain that you can just shut everything down, which not many people can do. Again,
only the best can do that.
You're talking a 1% of a 1% can do something like that, and that's the mindset. Obviously, you can have all the physical tools in the world, but if you don't have that little gap between your ears working, you're not going to be able to do it. That's a wild thing to have.
Yeah, sure I remember a conversation I had with my grandma. Specifically, we were talking about this tournament because my grandpa, he's been fairly sick for the past couple years, and this was the last tournament they were going to be able to go to, and it's not far from home, so they were able to go. And I told her, I said, no matter what we're bowling on, I'm winning it. This is my tournament. I'm winning this tournament. Doesn't matter what we're bowling on. And when I started to believe that I was a PWBA champion, it happened. It's all about how you talk to yourself and the things that you say. And when you start to say, I am a PWBA champion, I am a world champion, it happens. And every single time that we've done it and that I've said it, it's happened. It's crazy to think, but we did it in 2017 and we continue to do it. When I won 2 national championships with McKendree, we said that every day. We wrote it every day. And, I have notebooks from where I said I am a PWBA champion. It's very important. John. It's very important to practice what you preach. And I am a PWBA champion, and I told myself that, and now I am. So
That's pretty badass.
That is really badass. I mean,
that's pretty badass.
And
anybody here listening would
it's a different way of thinking. It's a full different way of thinking.
Well, we've talked about it before, Oach, right? Like the best, like Johnny's dad, Michael Jordan, blah 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 blah. I mean,
they have that mentality. It's almost like it's a killer instinct amongst themselves. Like
cold-blooded, man.
Know it. Like they know, and then they'll go to these lengths to do it. It's how many hours of throwing and doing drills and whatnot. That's what to make that moment happen. You gotta sacrifice, and you have to have all those sections again. That mentality, man. It's a wild thing to see because it's rare to see in person.
Sure is. You want me to read?
Go ahead, Johnny.
Tim Habiuk. I hope I got that correct. It sounds close. I hope it's right. You've influenced a lot of young bowlers at my local house, Foxfire in Kannapolis, North Carolina. It's great seeing young bowlers paying attention to both the guys and gals. Very cool to see. Case in point.
Thank you, Tim.
Couldn't agree more.
Keegan Tasker says he shot his first 300 on his dad's birthday on May 2nd. Was there a 300 that meant the most to you, Breanna?
The first one that I shot in Florida because my grandparents were there. My grandpa, I don't think he's ever seen me shoot 300. He's never seen me shoot 300. Every time I have, he's either not there or he was at work, and stuff. So that first one meant a lot. Like I said, he has been sick for a while.
Yeah.
He had COVID back in 2020. He was on a vent for 11 days. Wasn't good. So he's been battling things ever since that. That first one specifically, he's a very emotional person. We call him Poppy. He's very emotional. And just to be there in that moment with him, it was pretty cool. And to be able to share that with him, I gave him that 300 ring. It says for Poppy on it.
Oh.
And
that's cool.
So it's very special to me. Family means a lot to me. So specifically, I love my family, but my grandparents. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be in the situation that I am in now.
Sure.
And so I owe everything to them. So that one.
Oh, you're carrying the torch very, very well.
I mean, that was the perfect storm on a perfect day, right?
Damn right.
Sure.
How many 300s do you have?
Well, I have 3 with the PWBA, and then I'm trying to think. I know I have 15 total, but there's only 6 that count. Yeah.
You recreationally bowled a couple 300s? Or
it was in league, but it didn't really count. It kind of, I don't know.
It counts?
Yeah, but it's when I was younger. Yeah, so.
Do you know any bowlers that have great disabilities out there, or any disabled bowlers?
I know that the Team USA team, we have bowlers with disabilities. They bowl for Team USA.
Oh,
yeah.
Gotcha.
I personally,
awesome.
I know some wheelchair vets, fantastic wheelchair bowlers. Eddie Huggins, or I think I said his name right. I think it's not Hutch. Eddie Hutchins. Sorry, Eddie Hutchins. And obviously, I mean, with Dad, I grew up watching Al Utek and Martin Frost and Walt Roy and all those guys. But I mean, there's some pretty fantastic wheelchair bowlers out there. Kick my ass.
So, I'm sorry, Johnny. Did COVID slow things down? Because you were ready to go on tour, and COVID hit. What happened during that time?
Well, we were in the middle of our NCAA and USBC season, so we were number 1 going into sectionals and nationals. We were really stinking good.
Yeah.
So obviously that slowed it down. That sucked. It was heartbreaking to know we had nothing. We couldn't do anything about it.
Right.
That's what sucked the most for us. And it did slow things down for me personally. I did take a pretty big break. And then I did get back on the lanes. Our center was fortunate enough to it allowed some of us who worked there, because I worked at the bowling center back home, to come and practice whenever we could. Obviously we were safe, but to come and practice whenever we could. And so I picked that back up, and then I went back to McKendree for my 5th year, not to bowl, but for school. and I was practicing there whenever I could because I was working a full-time job and going to school. So that did slow it down, and then my dad got sick, and it slowed it down even more.
Yeah, it's just a lot. I mean, a lot of people experience that as well. I mean, it's funny to. I always like to hear everyone's personal stories when it comes to COVID because Johnny mentioned the same. Johnny lives out west where things are a lot more strict, whereas you live in the south, and I live in Tennessee now. So I mean, things were open quicker than other areas, like the Northeast and the West. So I always like to see what people go through when it comes to that. When you were named a Brunswick staffer, was that a cool accomplishment for you?
I mean, like I said, I've known Chuck since I was a little girl, so we knew it was coming.
Okay.
Chuck and I talked about it a lot.
Yeah.
And I was really excited to have the opportunity because this was a different step for me. This was, you're going on tour, you're doing it. These are the right steps that you need to do. So I thought it was awesome to, now see that side of things where I didn't get to see it before. Mm-hmm. It was completely different, and it was awesome. It's
like the Wizard of Oz. Like you get to go behind the curtain and see how everything works. So, I mean,
and see how everything works.
Yeah, that's a cool thing. I noticed one thing when I was watching your tour win, which I do want to talk about because that was you bowled your ass off when it came to that tournament. Obviously, you won the 2022 WPBA St. Petersburg. Why can't I say that, Ocho? Jesus Christ. St. Petersburg Clearwater Open.
Well, St. Pete.
There you go. And my dad lives in Tampa, so I know the area. In any event, during your championship match, one thing I noticed is, and I think you did it during every shot, and I don't know if you do this as a practice, every time you bowl. When you were done bowling, you sat down, you closed your eyes, you took a breath, and you just kind of, I don't say meditated, but I mean just kind of, got in the zone. Is that something you always practice?
No.
Okay.
But on the TV show, I was nervous versus when I was shooting 889, I wasn't.
Right.
Yeah, on the TV show, I was extremely nervous, and we're fortunate enough to work with Dr. Dean with Team USA. Dean Hennis, he is a sports psychologist before we went on tour. And so we talked about finding what works for you and in those moments, and closing my eyes, visualizing what I'm seeing, and me winning, visualizing me throwing my next shot. That's what I did. And just to slow my breathing down. I didn't want to get too quick. I didn't want to rush anything. I just wanted to be in the moment, because no matter win or lose, I just wanted to be there and realize, hey, what am I doing? What am I recognizing? What am I feeling? Because not a lot of people get a chance to do that. So
you forget to experience it almost. You forget to even be in that moment because, again, a lot of pomp and circumstance around there too. What's that movie with Kevin Costner where he's a pitcher and he says release the mechanism? Mm-hmm. Is that the game? And then he just shuts everything down, right? Like everything goes quiet. That's
for love.
Yeah, I
heard me, right?
Are you sure that was that or not?
I thought
it was Bull
Perfect or something.
I thought it was Bull Durham.
For love of the game. You heard it the first two times I said it.
Okay.
Is that
Clear the mechanism? Yeah,
that's okay. Yeah, he's a pitcher for the Tigers or something. I know he's going against
Billy Chappell.
That's the guy.
So you're able to slow things down. Obviously, control your breathing. I mean, a lot of people like to watch their opponent and see what line they're shooting, possibly, or just kind of pay attention to what's going on. But I mean, you're just sitting there, you're chill, you're only worrying about yourself. You're taking your head out of the game, and you're just in a zen moment, really, just for lack of a better term. So is that something you want to practice going forward, like to help you just stay in the moment?
I mean, it worked.
Obviously, right? Yeah.
So, yeah.
How quick does a game go when you're bowling on national television? Does it
honestly, very, very, very quick. You think that it'll feel like the longest moment of your life, but it doesn't. It goes by so quick. I feel like I won. We celebrated it. We took pictures, and then we were done. Like, it was just
I hear that a lot too.
Yeah.
It went by so quickly, and I felt like I hugged my grandparents. I was there with them and my family, but then I feel like I was whisked away for interviews and pictures and all this other stuff, and I just felt like, whoa, this is all going on so quickly that it didn't really set in, I think until like maybe a month later, if you want me to be honest. Like, it didn't really sink in until not a month later. We'll say like maybe 2 weeks at the US Open Pro-Am, where they announced my name, the recent PWBA Champion. That set in. I was like, holy crap. Like, oh my God. Like, my roommate Alexis Nyer, I went back to the hotel with her, and I was just crying. I was bawling. I was a mess. I was like, I just did this. Like, holy crap. And, you know, it finally set in because you don't really have time to realize what you just did. Yeah, so.
I have no idea you had a room with Alexis.
I love her. Yeah, Alexis
cool.
and Brandon.
I spent some time with that is Anthony's daughter, right? Or Andy's daughter.
Andy's daughter, yeah.
Yeah, I was just spent a couple weekends in back home with Anthony and Andy. I hadn't seen Andy in forever. My God, small world. Oh, cool. That's another good bowling family.
One thing I didn't like, maybe just because that's what CBS Sports does, but the fact that nobody interviewed you after the match and they just showed you there, just standing in the lane with your trophy and didn't show any interviews. That you know what, CBS, you suck. That pissed me off.
Yeah, well, I know that we were running behind, and the men's show was coming on next. So we had to rush things. They did interview me, so they did do that, but they just didn't get to show it because we were running so behind.
Right.
Yeah, that they had to cut that out.
I mean, back in the day on ABC, like, you know, they were running behind while Rules of Sports was coming up, but I mean, at least Chris Schenkel would go out there and just ask a couple of questions and be like, all right, we're out of time, we got to go. But I mean, they didn't even make the effort to do that, and I don't know, that just rubbed me the wrong way.
It seems like in more recent years they've gone away with the full-blown trophy and check presentation like they used to do on ABC.
Right.
Even the times during the World Series, the guy would win and then he would immediately walk over to
he runs right to the trophy and that's it. There's a close up.
Thank you, this, blah, 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 blah. See you later. Show's over. Goodbye. Like,
roll credits.
They kind of took the emphasis away from the pinnacle of the event itself, or not the pinnacle. You know, it's like, I mean, I watch the Olympics. I like to watch who's on the podium when it's done. I'd like to see them with the medal on. You know,
I'd at least like to see
after a win. Yeah,
right. Like,
after a win, you want to know what were they thinking?
What were they thinking? Right.
Did you know you were? You know, did you have that? Nobody knows you already envisioned that you were going to win. You know, that would have been something that would have been fun to hear, or just how your shot making was, something like that.
Yeah. I was a blubbering mess, so I'm kind of thankful that they didn't have that.
Well, his dad said he's going to go to Ace Hardware and buy a hammer and a saw one time. So, like, I mean, it can't be any worse than that.
That's fair.
I was crying. My face was red. You know, I was a mess.
So it's on YouTube somewhere, right?
We'll find
it. They scrubbed it?
No.
It wasn't even like an online exclusive or anything like that. That sucks.
The show's on YouTube, but the full thing's not on it.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So.
All right. So when you won, obviously it was a huge deal. Was that like a big weight lifted off your back? Like, all right, I got my first one. I'm just going to go crush it from now on. And I want to win again because winning is so freaking cool. I just want to win every single time I go out there.
Yeah. Like, I've been super close so many times. And I finished third so many times. And I was like, I'm not finishing second. I'm winning this. This is another TV show I made. I'm not doing this.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a huge weight off my back because, like, once you get that first one, you know you can do it.
Yep.
And that feeling is, it's amazing. So you just want to do that again. So that pressure was completely lifted. And no matter how I bowled the rest of the season, I got a title.
That's right.
So, you know, it's not that I didn't care, but I was like, I'm happy.
Yeah,
I'm happy with how the season ended or was going, and then however it ended, I was still happy no matter what.
Yeah, because you had a hell of a year. I mean, you had a couple third place finishes. I mean, you were constantly cashing. I mean, you and then obviously you just had the perfect day, right? And you killed it. I mean, she didn't have a chance after a while. Like after like fifth frame, you're burying the ball even on the left lane, which they're having trouble with. Did you know at that point, like, I got this in the bag?
After I carried the 9-pin, I was like, oh, yeah, it's my day.
Right.
The bowling gods are with me. Like, this is my day. Yeah.
Because for those of you that don't know, like, you missed, what, was it the 7-pin out of the gate, or was it the 10-pin?
No, I missed the 10-pin. After not missing a spare all weekend, the first shot on the TV show, I missed a 10-pin. I was livid. I was so mad at myself. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, and then I missed one in the 10th, too.
At that point, it didn't matter, but I mean...
No, it did matter, but I was still like, really? You didn't miss one all week? And then you go and miss two on TV? Really? Yeah.
So
another mark of a champion.
Right.
Wins the event. She's pissed about the 10 pin.
Well, the mark is the no pun intended because she didn't mark. It's the regrouping. Like, you know, your first ball out of the gate, you missed the 10 pin, and then you string. I don't know. I didn't see it, but however,
was it 5 in a row. I think after that.
It was 6.
6 in a row.
Oh,
Okay.
so that's honing it in. That's releasing the mechanism or whatever Kevin Costner said.
I literally was pissed, and I sat down and I looked at my grandma, and I just started laughing. I was
That's
like,
good.
really?
Yeah.
Like, really? Come on. Yeah. And she calmed me down in that moment. Just that calmed me down. I was like, all right. We got the nerves. They're gone. Let's just do our thing. It made it easier.
Yeah, and once you got locked in, I mean, it was
that could fluster somebody out of their game.
It's a big deal.
Tournament,
yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Johnny. Sorry.
It's sometimes it's a blessing in disguise, especially if it happens early in the game.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Now there's nothing to worry about.
Yep.
At all.
You already did it. So
I dreamt about missing my first ever 7 pin on TV. Well, there it is.
There it is. You got it out of the way.
Could have just skipped forward these 8 hours. I would have been fine.
So obviously, you know, the sky is the limit for you. Are you more focused now than you've ever been?
yes. Now that I've transitioned into coaching, I'm learning more about the sport than I think I have in a very long time. And the things that I learn about the men and the women, I can take to my own bowling.
Right.
And I have things that just didn't click before, because like I said, I'm always learning, but the things that just don't click as easily, the wheels are turning, and I'm starting to understand them now. You know, obviously I have Bobby and Andrew Dukowski here, and they're so unbelievably smart, and they're just letting me and allowing me to be a sponge. And so, you know, I think now I'm more focused, especially with traveling to Peru in a couple of weeks. And I'm learning a lot more now than I think I ever have, besides when I was at McKendree, obviously, but I'm in a different part of my life now.
Right.
So this is like the next step to my bowling career as a coach and a player, and learning, and then being patient with them. When I'm patient with them, I'm patient with myself. Yeah, this is completely different, and I'm more focused than I think I have been. Yeah, than I have been. I will say that.
And for those of you that don't know, she was recently hired at Pikeville University to be a graduate assistant. If you guys are here watching it, but on the audio feed, she got a U-Pike shirt. She's got a U-Pike sign behind her. So that is a cool thing. And look, you're only 24, almost 25. And you're already in a position to help others. I mean, people are they know how good you are, for lack of a better term. I mean, that's got to be a cool feeling to have that much success early on in your career. And you got, who knows, 10, 20, 30 more years in you.
You're like scratching the surface.
Right. Yeah. You're just getting started.
Yeah.
And now you get to work with Bobby Brown, which is even better.
I'm so excited.
It's my
Did you know that, guys? Did you know that when I went to school in Morehead State, an hour away from Pikeville, my bowling coach is now somebody she works with at Pikeville.
That's pretty cool.
Hour up the road in Kentucky.
I love the song My Prerogative.
It is a goodie, Mr. Brown.
Would you say that the higher caliber bowlers have brought out the best in you?
Yeah. You know, working with Shannon, you know, she competed with the best of the best on tour and for Team USA. And, you know, she really made it easier to understand just how good the bowlers are.
Yeah.
And I got to see it with junior team too, and NCAA and USBC. You know, I got to see it. So seeing the up and coming bowlers in NCAA and USBC, and then having Shannon, you know, kind of coach us into getting ready for the tour, that made me really aware of, hey, these girls, they don't play around. They don't mess around. And yeah, that drove me as well to be better and to want to win, honestly. So I knew I'd end up bowling them. So I had to be at their level and be better at them in that time and moment.
Told you she was going to be a good guest.
Yeah, I mean, I was reading the members of Team USA. They're going to Peru. I mean, how cool is that you're selected to go to Peru with, you know, Daniel McEwen, Lauren Tate, Jordan Richards, Stephanie Zavala, you know, Jacob Buttriff, AJ Johnson, Chris Prather, Kyle Troop. I mean, that's selective company right there. I mean,
Yeah.
That's a good group.
Yeah, no
Lauren
kidding.
and I won doubles gold last year in Columbia. We bowled on McKendree together. So just to be going with her and possibly having that chance to bowl doubles again, we don't know. That I'm so thankful for. I'm thankful to be traveling. It's always awesome to travel with Team USA and wear those letters on your back. There's really no feeling like that. Just to be with her, it's very important to me. We learn a lot about each other at McKendree, and we bowl so well together. So that's awesome. And being with Danielle, and I looked up to Danielle a lot during college, and so just to be with her, I'm just in awe of that. And Jordan, oh my gosh. I'm just in awe of all of them.
Right.
We're all really good friends. So it's awesome to be going with your friends, but also people that you looked up to at the time when you were younger. And then I still look up to them now. I mean, I have a lot of people that I look up to now that I bowl with every week.
Right.
So I'm super blessed and really happy just to even be there.
Right.
So.
Do they give you guys like time to sightsee and party and hang out? Not party, but like, find the areas. And I know, you're there for a business thing there. I get you. But like, you can't go to Peru and not have some fun. There's got to be something.
So we don't really know the schedule and everything. I know obviously we're going to be bowling a lot and we're there to win. But at the same time, we used to be able to go sightsee, like the bigger sites that you, that everybody knows about and everything. But at the same time, in Columbia, we didn't really get to because of COVID.
COVID shut everything down too.
Yeah. So hopefully we get to. I think that would be really awesome because I'm a history buff and I love everything about history. So it'd be nice to learn a little bit while I'm down there.
Now you mentioned
like an itinerary of like when you'd go, when you'd be practice.
We'll eventually get one. We'll eventually get one when it gets closer. Yeah.
So they do set it up though, obviously. Where here,
we'll know what we're doing. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So you mentioned being proud of wearing Team USA on your back, which leads me to a question that we've talked about on the show before, and I want to get your opinion of it. Do you think bowling should be an Olympic sport?
Yes.
Why do you think it's not?
I feel like people think that there's too much luck in bowling and that it's just not taken seriously. Personally, I feel like it's not taken as seriously as we take it. I mean, people just see it as a recreational sport.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, all of the people that don't know that I'm a professional bowler, and when I do tell people, they're like, "Oh, I just thought bowling like you just drink beer and you just bowl."
Right.
Well, no, that's how I make my living. So no, it's not. It's not like that. So, and there's many other factors that play into it as well. But I just don't really think we're taken as seriously as we should be.
That's fair.
But that also falls on us. We have to hold ourselves accountable as to why it's not taken this seriously.
Right.
So
we've had a lot of conversations like that on the show. We always kind of dive into that aspect of like, what is the cause? Is it the stigma? Is it that the PBA or the PWBA should they promote? Is there no money from sponsors? Things like that. Where do you get the money from? And there's it's a vicious cycle of what's causing what, and there's no true answer really. Because I think they had a better rating in the 80s because I don't know, more people watched, but it was on TV. It's never on TV anymore. Let's put it on TV. Get it somewhere.
Yeah.
There's a couple more elements to it too,
and more, of course. So
I've never met a professional curler before, but if somebody said that they made their living curling, I don't think that curling is viewed upon by the general public as important as bowling.
Sure.
Breanna, my argument has always been, and I don't know all the particulars behind the Olympic Committee's reason for not putting bowling in, but I always thought it was because the event itself has too many variables that are out of the human nature aspect control. In other words, lane conditions, left to right, pins, the round object hits another round object. They don't always fall the exact same way. Bad breaks, good breaks. I think that most Olympic sports, everybody is doing the exact same thing. The javelin's the same length. The shot put weighs the same. This is a foul.
That goes along with what she said, where they think it's luck too. But
that's kind of what I was getting at. Is like that falls into the same category as luck. Like I feel like there's so many things that could happen that could determine who wins. So it's not like we're all throwing the same bowling ball, the same layout, the same surface, on the same, we're bowling on the same condition, but if somebody could be left-handed, somebody could be right-handed, it could break down differently. So it's not like everything's the same. That's kind of what I meant with the whole luck thing. I could have explained it better, but
could they use one bowling ball? Is that,
it all depends on your company and who they pick. I mean, they could, but that's also just super
the Olympics, I guess, would have to regulate that, though, wouldn't they? I would almost think the Olympics would have to say, okay, here's your bowling, but everybody uses this bowling ball.
Here's how you pick.
Going back to what she said, the Olympic Committee is not going to look at bowling that way because we're not cool.
They don't even know enough about it, I don't think. I mean,
not
it's
to
still
mention
the best
when they find out the cost of a lane to install, and then, by the way, every single time a ball is thrown, the surface changes and the oil changes, so now you have to re-oil the lane before the next shot is thrown for the next competitor. Like, I can only imagine the shit that the Olympic is like, screw that beer.
Never mind, we're going to put down a sheet of ice and let the guys curl again.
There's a lot of hidden things that we also don't know about behind the scenes that went on and that go on when trying to promote it to get it into the Olympics. I mean, there's a lot of things. We could sit here and talk about it all day, but really not know.
Right.
I'd be curious what it was. I'd be curious as a fly on the wall what determining factors are made when it's even brought up.
I mean, they almost made it in the early 90s. I remember them talking about it on the telecast, that it was close, but it didn't happen. What if they picked...
Yeah, they made it to the FIQs and the Pan Am Games in Singapore in the early 90s.
Right.
That was about as far as we got.
I mean, what if you say, well, we're only going to have 5 lefties and 5 righties? That way, the left side breaks down evenly, and for the lefties, and the right side down breaks evenly. Could you even do something like that, Johnny?
No, because if the 5 righties are Breanna Clemmer, Jason Belmonte, Shannon O'Keefe, Stephanie Nation, and Deandra Asbeatty, they're not going to break down the lane anywhere near one another.
Yeah, that's fair.
If Norm Duke and Jason Couch and Patrick Allen and Mike Scroggins are on the other pair, they're not going to break down the same.
Okay.
It's like she said, like we've said a million times, there's a million things we know and a million things we don't know, and a million behind the curtain things. But,
okay. This will never happen, but just a hypothetical. Don't put any oil in the lanes, free for all. I mean, it's fair, right? It's the same surface for everybody, right?
And you take the talent out of the sport. That it becomes a chucking game.
Luck.
You may as well have the shot putters go throw them at bowling pins.
That's not gonna work.
Yeah.
No.
Good job, Rob.
Thanks, man. I killed the room. That's fair. Sorry, guys. So as we wrap it up here, we have another question. What is a dream match you'd like to have? Like, is there anybody in particular you would just love to face off with?
Probably Michelle Feldman.
Yeah.
I would love to
awesome match.
her. I've looked up to her my whole life.
Yeah.
Probably her, or, I love Belmo. I freaked out. He posted about me when I won, and I freaked out. Like,
I would too.
Freaked out.
Yeah.
And then one of my good friends, Kyle Troop, I grew up watching him. He doesn't live far from me. He took a video with Belmo and sent it to me, and I literally freaked out, like fangirled.
Yeah.
So probably him or Michelle. I would love to bowl. Oh my gosh.
That's pretty awesome.
I feel so old because she said she grew up watching Kyle Troop. Isn't he young?
I grew up watching Guppy.
He's like 30 or something like that. I don't know.
I know.
All right, I'm head out.
He's way up there. He's like 30. He's probably arthritic.
I don't mean it like that, but I grew up watching.
What about you, Rob? Who was your dream match?
Like me against somebody?
Yeah. Who would you like to bowl against?
Anybody of any time or currently?
Anytime.
Earl Anthony. Just because I idolized him growing up. Your dad, obviously. I mean, I'm a lefty, so I tend to lean towards lefties. Earl Anthony, your dad.
I say Ron Glick.
Good choice.
Just people I idolize, growing up. Now, currently, I'd love to, go off against Jesper. I really like his game. Even you, Johnny. I'd love to bowl against you. I get smoked, but I mean, I'd love to bowl against you one time, too.
I did bowl against a legend. I had no idea who the guy was. So,
Ocho literally didn't know who.
I already blew it.
He didn't know who Junior's dad was at all. He wasn't. It's a long story, but
Come on.
didn't know. No,
It's so great.
had no idea.
So great.
All right, give
Now
the.
Look how far we've come.
Mine would be Tammy Turner.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who? Who'd you say?
Tammy Turner.
I thought he said Tina Turner for a second.
She's hanging out with Bobby
Tina
Brown.
Turner. All right.
Nicole Neff's in the house. Finally, where you been, Nicole?
Where you been?
Big
How
Ocho
time
fan.
They showed up.
Obviously, we've already heard.
There's the bear. All right.
I mean, there's
take it.
Ocho.
This isn't about me tonight.
No, absolutely not. But I mean,
Johnny, I'll be in Vegas in January, so we can bowl.
Sounds good. Yeah, you're coming out. It's team trials, correct?
Yep.
And that is at Gold Coast?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
God,
Well, JP quit bowling. I don't know if you knew that. So, but
He
I guess
didn't.
Well, okay,
quit
but I don't
bowling.
think he's gonna win. So.
oh, snap.
Oh, I'm not even going to bowl.
Oh no, we're bowling.
Oh, you mean the match again? Yeah, I'll bowl you.
Yeah.
Play for whatever you want.
All right, we need somebody to record that and put it on YouTube. We have to put that on our page.
No, we don't.
I want to see Johnny get smoked.
Actually, you know what? The public humiliation might work for our show. So
Right?
that's good. It's a little humble pie.
Yeah, good.
Is there
Shot
anybody?
660 in league last night. It was thrilled.
Well, hey, dude, goals, man, life goals.
Baby
It's all-
steps,
it's good.
baby
There was
steps.
I
stealth and
literally
an ocean vibe.
averaged 210 in league this year.
Did you really?
210. Yep.
That's
Ocho average higher. That's see, Ocho, you accomplished something, bro. You're better than a pro.
No, but that's the point. I average 215, yet I'd probably average 120 on your stuff. So I'm not dumb about it.
Is there anybody on the current tour that you see as your biggest competition? I mean, I don't want you to. Yeah, it's. I don't want you.
That could open.
I was gonna say I don't want you to piss anybody off and be like, oh, what? She doesn't think
It's
I'm good.
myself.
But I mean,
That's my biggest competition.
is there anybody like Stephanie Zavala or anybody like that you think that would be your biggest challenge? You don't have to answer that if it's too if it's singling anybody out or
Factor an answer and say it's me. I might fall down and hurt myself, and
I mean,
then I'm out.
that's fair.
I don't think there's really like a bad answer. I mean, you can answer it either way, but I feel like every week it's someone different.
Somebody new, yeah.
It's about who matches up with what.
Right.
And like at the end of the day, like everybody's your competition because anybody can be good on anything.
That's a fantastic answer.
That's why they're on the tour. Also, like there's a reason why.
I mean,
there's
we're
only a
all
select
the-
few. Yeah.
From where we are, we're all the best at what we do.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So I mean, anytime you can get what you like to do and you match up, everyone's going to be hard to beat.
That's a great answer.
right.
That's the pro's answer.
Toeing the line.
That's
I like
right.
That.
No, I mean, but she's right. She's absolutely right when it comes to that.
Well, again, that's the whole point. They don't allow schleps on the tour. That's the point. You have to be the best of the best to get out there. So,
Did you say Schleps or Schweppes?
schleps?
I like schleps.
Which one is the word schlep? Right? It's not
Yeah,
schlepp.
That's a word.
I
That's a
thought,
word.
I thought you said Schweppes.
Yeah, that's a
Go
soda pop, ain't it?
Go for it. It's a
Soda
ginger ale
pop.
that I could
Yeah.
go for right now.
So, what did you like better, the Big Lebowski or Kingpin?
Kingpin.
Thank God you said
Finally,
Yeah,
thank
finally.
Yes. Thank you.
There's so many people that are just loved. I get the Big
that. Are we
Lebowski.
abusing your time yet? We've been recording for an hour and
I
32
think Kingpin
minutes.
is.
Oh, Christ, yeah, we have.
better.
Yeah. I got another podcast to do. Sorry, we got. I didn't realize what time it was. We got to wrap it up here. Sorry, guys. One
Because of you?
One,
I don't even need you.
sorry, I
Yeah,
haven't.
because of him.
Okay, yeah, I'll leave. You guys can. You guys can wrap up the
No,
show.
leave. Whatever.
I forgot about my second podcast.
We went from possibly 5:45 to being the best show we've ever done because I've learned more on this show than any other show combined.
Usually you're teaching. That's why.
Usually, yes, that's true.
Thank you.
I had a final question, but I absolutely lost it. So, anything you want to plug, Breanna? Anything you got coming up? Social medias? The floor is yours.
We'll have some exciting news probably in the next couple of weeks. Just be on the lookout for my socials with that. You can just look up my name at Breanna Clemmer on Instagram. Give me a follow, and on Facebook. My athlete page is on Facebook.
We absolutely had a blast talking to you tonight, and
Had some
thank you
fun.
for coming on the show. We'd love to have you back when your schedule allows. Well, maybe we'll talk to you after your Peru trip and see how you like that and all that. So, guys, any final questions for Breanna before we wrap it up?
Just congratulations and continued success at your new position with Pikeville. And obviously, best of luck to you and all of Team USA representing. And Peru, are you going somewhere else other than Peru?
Just Peru.
Mm-hmm. And obviously, here's to another continued awesome year on the ladies tour next year, and looking forward to seeing you when you come out for team trials.
Thank you.
Ocho, what's your Twitter handle? You suck. At the DR Ocho, I am at RadRob Gaming, and JP is JPJR07. Give us a follow on Twitter. Also give Breanna a follow on her social medias. We will see you guys next week for another edition of Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. Take care, guys.
Thanks for listening to this edition of Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. You can follow the show on Twitter at Straight Up 5 Pod. Follow Johnny Jr. at JPJR07. Follow Rad Rob at Rad Rob Gaming. And follow Dr. Ocho at the DR Ocho. Got a question for Johnny? Send your questions to straightup5podcast@gmail.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. Right here on the Rad Rob Radio Network.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.